I came. So that's not what I'm going to say. Verse 28, Father, glorify your name. That's what I'm going to say. Then came there a voice from heaven saying, I have both glorified it and I will glorify it again. The people therefore that stood by and heard it said it thundered. They said it thundered. Now here's what I want to point out to you. They didn't know. God spoke from heaven. They didn't know it was him. Was he hiding himself? But see, they didn't esteem Jesus. So when God spoke, they didn't know God was speaking. Because their lack of esteem for his word. You know, if you think about this the same way as we think about people that, you know, I've seen lots of movies where people are mining gold. And when they're mining gold, a lot of them will take it, you know, have the water in the pan. You've got dirt in there. And so if I mix some water in here and just kind of roll it around, the dirt will wash off and it'll make the gold shine. And I'll see the gold. And I can pick the gold out. They don't go through there quickly. Because they value the gold. So I'm mining for gold. And if you esteem the Word of God, you don't just go through it quickly. You don't just read a chapter just to get through the chapter. You say, no, let me take my time. Because something's going to shine in here. I know there's nuggets in this passage. And if I just get one nugget out of here today. Some days I get smaller nuggets, other days I get larger nuggets, but I always get nuggets, so I'm looking for the nugget for me today. Verse 20, so some said it thundered, others said an angel spoke to him. They didn't know it was God, and so they couldn't receive from God because they didn't know it was God. Verse 30, Jesus answered and said, the voice came not because of me, but for your sake. It was trying to help you. Now is the judgment of this world. Now shall the prince of this world be cast out. And if I be lifted up from the earth, I will draw all men unto me. This he said, signifying what death he should die. So he's talking about how he's going to die. He's going to be lifted up from the earth. And once he does, there's a drawing power. There's something that draws me into it. He said, I'll draw all men unto me. Verse 33, this he said, signifying what death he should die. Verse 34, the people answered him, we have heard out of the law that Christ abideth forever. And how sayest thou, the Son of Man must be lifted up? Who is this Son of Man? So they again, didn't recognize. Why didn't they recognize? It wasn't revealed to them. Why wasn't it revealed to them? They didn't esteem it. They didn't esteem it. They didn't esteem it. Verse 35. Then Jesus said unto them, yet a little while is light with you. So we know Jesus is the light, right? He said, I'm only going to be here a little while longer. What did he say? Walk while you have the light. Lest darkness come upon you, for he that walketh in darkness knoweth not whither he goeth. While you have light, do what? Believe in the light, that you may be children of the light. So if you believe in the light, it causes you to be born of light and become children of the light, so you're of the same substance as the light. These things spake Jesus and departed and did hide himself from them. Verse 37. But though he had done so many miracles before them, yet they believed not on him. So miracles don't cause anybody to believe. A lot of people say, well, you show me a miracle and I'll believe it. The miracles don't make anybody believe. See, if you don't esteem him as Lord before you see the miracle, you'll start trying to explain away the miracle like a lot of people do today about, the parting of the Red Sea. They say, oh, it was only 6 inches of water. So what they walked through was 6 inches of water, which is okay. Could have been. But then he drowned Pharaoh's army in 6 inches of water. You're going one way or another, you're going to have to receive it as a miracle from God. But some people don't want to receive him as a miraculous God that still operates today. And so when you don't esteem him as a miraculous God, you can't receive miracles from him. And some people, because of their experience, have stopped esteeming him that way. Because of the difficulties they've experienced in their life, because of the hurt that they've experienced in their life, because of the frustration that they've experienced, because of the abuse that they've experienced, they stop esteeming him as miraculous. They stop esteeming him as the God that can do anything. And they come in waiting for him to do something. Do a trick for me, Lord. And then I'll worship you. And then I'll esteem you. But the esteem always comes first. Glory. Let's just stop right here. As we talk about this part, because the megaroshti, the esteem for the Lord is always in our hearts. And so for a lot of people, because they've been broken and hurt and their heart is in pieces, and they have identified with the hurt, and so they begin to think of themselves as hurt. They begin to think of themselves as oppressed. They begin to think of themselves as depressed. They begin to think of themselves and identify with the pieces. But how many of you are familiar with the song, Take Me to the King? In part of the song, she said, my heart's broken in pieces. And then she says, it's my offering. I'm bringing you the pieces. I don't identify with the pieces. I've sacrificed the pieces to you. And I know that you can take those pieces and make something beautiful out of what I sacrificed. And even though I'm broken, even though I've been torn down, even though I'm depressed, even though so many bad things have happened to me, I'm offering that to you. Make something out of me, Lord. I'm not like what a lot of people come to God this way. And they say, Lord, make fire and then I'll put wood on it. God said, you bring the wood and then I'll bring the fire. I make myself the sacrifice, and then I let him ignite it. And I just believe that, this whole service today, as we talked about the fact that, worship is difficult for some people, and life gets in the way for many of us. And so because of the circumstances of life, because of repeated, quote unquote, the defeats, we still come because we know he's Lord. But we don't just come to the altar and say, Lord, I'm bringing my brokenness for you. I'm not taking this back home. I don't want to take this anger back home. I don't want to take this depression back home. I don't want to take this sadness back home, this confusion back home. I make that an offering, Lord, and I know it's not much, but I'm giving you all that I have. And I'm not holding back anything. And I just believe that there's some people this morning that need to surrender that to the Lord and esteem him as the God that will give you beauty for ashes, that will replace your mourning with joy. Making an offering to the Lord today. Let's everybody stand up.